Champions Cup Saturday games. There are 6 of them, so it is a busy Saturday. But yeah, last bit, apart from the couple of Sunday games, the last bit of action we'll get until the new year. And then it's not that far till the Six Nations and till Super Rugby, so there's plenty of stuff on the cards. It's an interesting point in the competition where you got teams who are pretty much essentially already out, teams who are one bad result away from going out, and teams who are already looking to secure their spots. So no doubt after this round there will be more teams who are essentially Gomberger for the Champions Cup quarterfinals. But we will start with the first one, which again doesn't have much in the English media about it. It's Benetton and Lyon. They're in a tough pool in that pool 1, which has also got Northampton and Leinster in it. Neither of these teams is really likely to get out of it. Lyon picked up their first win over Benetton in the previous week. That was 28 points to 0. I was a bit disappointed with the Benetton in that one because up until this point they'd been okay, even though they hadn't won any games. But they got pretty well done in that game last week. So I think both sides have kind of rung the changes. I don't think either side really expects to pick up a win after this week. Either way, with Leinster there, it's going to be tough. So they are probably both going to have a bit more of a domestic focus. But we'll see. They've still got a few games to go. Jaden Hayward's at fullback. Morosi comes in to 12. Monty Ioane is there. Ian Keatley starts at 10. Duwalt Duvanacha is there as captain from the number 9 jersey. Bram Stein is back. Fiver starts. Traore is there at loose head. So there's still a fair few Italian internationals and others in that Benetton squad. For Lyon, also lots of changes. Rudy Wolf's there at 12. Barassi is there at 13. Nakatathi is on the wing. They've also got number 9 as their captain, so it's 9 against 9. That's Pelisse. Liam Gills at 7. So yeah, both sides ringing the changes. It's kind of a hard one to get excited about because I don't think either team's going to make it, and because it's on at 1:45 in the morning here in New Zealand. So yeah, if I was watching one live and I was just going to choose one game, as both these games are on at the same time, I would be watching Connacht and Gloucester. But you never know, the Benetton one, it might be a cracker. Now that I've said that, I would probably watch the other one. But hey, it is what it is. Yeah, the bookies have got Benetton by 1 point, but interestingly the algorithm has got Lyon by 3. So there's a split between Rugby Forecast and the bookies for this one. So either way, I will watch the highlights of it and see how that one goes. The next one, which is a kind of more interesting one because that pool is kind of a weird pool, is old pool 5, because hold on, phone call. Right, that's done. It's an interesting one, is pool 5, because you got Connacht 4th, they've got to win. You got Gloucester 2nd, they've got to win. You got Montpellier 3rd, they've got to win, and then you got Toulouse, who are perfect thus far. So the other 3 teams have all picked up a win and 2 losses. So there's not really a clear second team in that pool 5. So you got to think whoever loses this one is essentially dead. You're trying to keep your hopes alive here. Are Connacht and Gloucester. Oh, good lord, what is that with the phone calls? Right, remind me next time, unplug the phone before I start a video. Yes, Connacht Gloucester, do or die match. I don't think Connacht has made quite so many changes. There's no Quinn Roux this week. Jack Carty moves to fullback. Conor Fitzgerald is at 10. Blade is at 9. Jared Butler's captain from 7. Kyle Godwin moves from the wing into the midfield, which is again an area I'm more used to seeing him. So overall, Delane is there in the second row. So yeah, it's a pretty decent looking Connacht squad. I don't see what's his name? The Aussie flanker. He's got two brothers, also Fainga. I don't see him, so I'm not sure if he's injured or if he's just being rested. I haven't seen any news about him. I feel like, did he get hurt in the previous game? I'm watching too much rugby. The Gloucester lineup is kind of much changed. Bannerhan's at fullback. 12 Tree starts after being on the bench last week. Brayley is at 9. Lloyd Evans is at 10, so Cipriani's on the bench. Heineken and Gleave start in the front row alongside Balmain, who I think did play last week. Craig is in the second row alongside Grobler, which means Mostert's on the bench. Freddie Clark is in there at 6. Ludlow captains from 7. Ron Ackerman's still there at 8. Ollie Thorley's still there on the wing. Reece Zammit is still there on the other wing. So, yeah, it's a much changed side for Gloucester. I don't know if they're trying to inject a bit of pace. Third time lucky, seriously. Right. The phone is unplugged. I've never been that popular in my life as to get 3 phone calls in such a short time. Gloucester. Lots of changes. Last time they played, it was a relatively close one, 26 points to 17. But Gloucester got their win in that one. Interestingly, though, Connacht being at home, Rugby Forecast and the bookies are on the same page in terms of who they think is going to get the win. They've got Connacht by 4 and Connacht by 4. So we'll see if that's the case for this one. I guess we'll wait and see. For the next one, all French affair. Montpellier up against Toulouse. The changes are the order of the day, I guess, this one in both sides. Toulouse, as I said kind of previously, are flying high. Montpellier, Connacht and Gloucester really still alive, but all of them are in danger of going out. So Montpellier really could use a win here. It was 23 points to 9 last week to Toulouse, so Montpellier unable to score a try. They'll need to come out firing this week. Kamfoto is at 9. Johan Hussein is at 10. Nemani Ndolo is 11. Frans Steyn 12. Rylak is at 13. Vincent Martin 14. And Thomas Darman 15. So I think most of those guys are changes from last week. I don't believe Steyn is a change from memory. They've got a couple of new props. Bismarck Duplessis is still playing hooker. Mukutadze is coming into the second row to partner Janssen van Rensburg. Picamoles is still there at 8, so it's captain, but it is a whole bunch of changes for Montpellier. So they got Jan Serfontaine on the bench, Caleb Timu. Yeah. I feel like if they lose here, then that's them done, and then we probably see a B team for them for the remaining 2 games. But like I said, it is still a fascinating one. If Montpellier can get a win, and whoever wins between Connacht and Gloucester, that will be an interesting one when those 2 teams have their rematch in the new year. So, yeah, for Toulouse, though, Cheslin Colby gets a start. He was on the bench last week. Peter Arquis at 12. So, Ntamak moves into 10. Zach Holmes drops to the bench. Tolofua is at 8 because Jerome Kino has moved to 6. Richie Gray is there in the second row alongside Rory Arnold. So you got a Scotsman and a Australian. Malvaka and Tafili are at hooker and at tight head respectively. Joe Takori's on the bench. Alstad's on the bench. Interestingly, this is another one where there's a split between the algorithm and the bookies. So the bookies have got Toulouse by 3, and they have been in top form. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Whereas the algorithm, with Montpellier being at home, gives them the advantage by 1 solitary point. So you feel like that could be a pretty tight one. That one's on at 4 a.m. I figure I'll probably get up at around that time to watch a game. So I may just end up watching that one. But there's another game on at 4 a.m. And that one is Saracens up against Munster. I made a point of watching this game last week, and it was 10 points to 3. The weather was horrendous in the second half, so it didn't make for the easiest watch. But it was tense, if nothing else. And And in that game, Saracens really didn't play a lot of their first string players. They are not doing the same this week. Their record is 1 win and 2 losses, so if they are going to go anywhere, they definitely need to get a win. With Munster having drawn against Racing when they were at home, Munster could use a win here as well, to be fair, because Racing got their victory on Friday. So, yeah, this is a really fascinating one. I mean, Saracens, with all those points being docked, really have to focus on the premiership. But that being said, you look at this lineup: Mako Vunipola, Jamie George, Vincent Koch. It's a pretty damn good looking front row. You've still got Cruz, you got Ezekwe, Ben Earl, Billy Vunipola's at 8, Wigglesworth's at 9, Owen Farrell comes in as captain at 10. Daly is on the wing instead of fullback. Max Mellons is on at fullback. I don't know if I know him. Sean Maitland is there, Lazowski's there, so a lot of those kind of first string Saracens players are back and available. Duncan Taylor's on the bench, so is Ben Spencer. Manu Vunipola, who played 10 last week, drops to the bench with Farrell being back. Munster are one of the few teams this week who are keeping their team relatively stable. John Ryan's in at tight head, but I think otherwise it's pretty much the same team that played. You got Earls, Conway, Haley's the back three, Scannell and Farrell in the midfield. Hanrahan and Murray are the halves. Stunder, O'Mahony and Byrne, the loose. So, yeah, it's that same pretty much starting 15 that got the win. An away win here would be very, very welcome. And yeah, like I said, with Saracens' domestic woes, I would have thought they might have thrown in the towel for this one, but it seems to not be the case. So maybe because you got to keep the home fans happy and you can maybe play a weakened team away, but rugby forecast and the bookies once again have this one as the same result. They are picking Saracens by 11 points, which I think at this point they would probably happily take all the way to the bank. So we will see. I think there's a couple of inexperienced guys in that Kapoku and Mellons. I think Kapoku's played on the bench a couple of times, but not a regular starter, but he is starting in the second row this week. So we will see how that one goes. 4 a.m. again. Maybe I get up at 4:30 and start watching it half an hour late. See how early I can get to bed. The next one, Leinster and Northampton. These were kind of the two titans of this pool last week, and that is pool number 1. But it ended up being 43 points to 16 in Leinster's favour. The game was tight for a half, and then the second half, Leinster just really, really put the hammer down and managed to really walk away with that game. You still look at that Leinster team, and there is no Sexton in it this week. He's got an injury, but there's a lot of Irish internationals there. Fardy, interestingly, captains in Sexton's absence in the second row. But you still got Healy and Furlong as the props. James Ryan's there, Ruddock, Van der Fleer. And Van der Fleer, as you guys mentioned in the comments, has just been phenomenal. His work rate continues to impress. Luke McGrath and Ross Byrne in the halves. James Rouleau, Henshaw, Ringrose, Carney, it's Dave, and Jordan Lama. Rob Carney is on the bench. Likewise, Devon Toner with Fardy starting this week. So, yeah, it's not going to be an easy one for Northampton. They've made a few changes. They got a whole new front row. They got a new 9 and kind of Tupai. Bigger still there at 10. Nayar Voro, who proved, I guess, a bit defensively weak in their game last week, continues on at 11. But with ball in hand, if you can get him the ball, the guy is a destructive runner. Proctor is still there alongside Simmons, who's his partner this week in the midfield. Ratuna Yarawa in the second row. Alex Coles. I should mention the front row is Van Fake, Van Furen, and Paul Hill. So it's a tough job. It's a tough job going over there to play in Dublin. So good luck to Northampton. I think they're going to need it. Leinster are looking very good in that pool. The bookies have got Leinster by 26, and Rugby Forecast has got them by 21. So predicted to be a pretty one-sided affair. So like I said, Northampton will need all the luck. But man, they looked good for a half last week. It's just the second half that wasn't all that good. Lastly, so I can go plug the phone back in. Glasgow up against La Rochelle. This is a Pool 2 clash. Glasgow are second at the moment in the pool behind Exeter, and La Rochelle are dead last, having not picked up a win. They could have picked up a win last week, but they managed to not with a bit of a Glasgow comeback. It finished 27 points to 24 in Glasgow's favour. They've made a few changes, have Glasgow, and they could certainly use a win because they're still in a strong position. They've still got a return fixture against Exeter to play, so they probably want to win every other game. So if they do lose to Exeter, which is not guaranteed, sure, but if they did, then they would still put themselves in a chance to go through. Tommy Seymour's there at 15. He recently retired from international footy, so we'll see how long he can prolong his career by playing just for club. Hugh Jones and Stafford McDowell are in the midfield. Kyle Steen and Matawalu, the wingers, Ali Price, Adam Hastings, Ferguson, that's Matt at 8. Callum Gibbons, Ryan Wilson, Johnny Gray, Scott Cummins, Ender Ferguson, Fraser Brown, and Aki Sayuli, former Highlanders man, there at the loose. They're going to be strong favourites at home, I would have thought. La Rochelle, they've made a fair few changes. Their run is done. They can just kind of rotate the squad because there's no hope for them now with that last result that they dropped. Whole new front row with Wardy, Bosch, and Puafisi. Gordon moves to the blind side. Aldrit's in at 8. Brock James is still there at 10. Lavani Botia and Plessis Couliard is there in the midfield. Moir Morlivalu, who is a danger man, is still there at 15. But yeah, realistically, I think this one's going to go Glasgow. And the bookies would agree Glasgow by 19. Rugby Forecast would agree Glasgow by 14. They definitely can't afford to slip up. They need to go in, preferably put La Rochelle to the sword, get a bonus point, and put themselves one step closer to securing securing progression, basically, even if they do not necessarily finish top of the pool. But yeah, those are the games. Those last two here in New Zealand are on at 6:15 in the morning, which is a reasonable hour. It seems all the games this week are on about 15 minutes earlier than they usually are. 1:45 instead of 2 for the first two. 4 a.m. for the second two. So I'll see how I go with my sleep planning. I'll see if I can have an early bit of kip tonight and wake up to watch as much of the rugby as I can. I'm thinking definitely highlights for Benetton and Lyon. I've got a keen interest in Connacht and Gloucester, so I'll see if I can give that one a watch. Also, Saracens Munster. These ones are on at the most reasonable time, but I feel like on paper, these are the ones that are going to be the most one-sided, so I'm still debating. Any suggestions, do let me know on which games you plan to watch. That's always appreciated. But hey, I'm going to go plug my phone back in before I get another phone call or somebody calling my mobile to say, why isn't your phone working? Anyway, you guys have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the rugby tomorrow. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.